Cyberpunk 2077 is going to be coming out, of course, later on this year, guys, here in 2020. And I think it's going to be, we're going to start having more and more conversations about other companies outside of CD Projekt Red that are going to start kind of giving their take on the cyberpunk, this style game. And I think we're already starting to see that. None other than Tencent, guys, who gave us a little bit of a sneak peek as to one of their upcoming titles, that being called Code SYN at this very point in time, which of course we're not sure what it's going to be called as of yet, if it's going to be called, if that's what it's going to be called, or if that's just a secret code for what the game is actually going to be called. We'll have to kind of wait and see on that. But very interestingly enough, this seems to be the first title that's supposed to be somewhat of a spiritual successor or somewhat of a, Tencent's take on the cyberpunk kind of, genre at this point that it looks like this may very well turn into. So with that, guys, I wanted to go ahead and talk about everything we know so far about the Tencent game Code SYN that was released during the annual conference. And in an article, guys, that was written by Zach of DGR Daily Gaming Report, SYN gameplay demo showcases beautiful, realistic graphics in real time. Last week, Tencent held their annual conference in which the company's senior vice president, Stephen Ma, announced that the company's drive would be to encompass technology, gameplay, and storylines for the future of their evolution of game development. Tencent has been steadily expanding its reach within the gaming industry. Last month, they announced they would be taking the System Shock franchise forward, and they would be also partnering with the Pokemon Company to work on their upcoming MOBA, Pokemon Unite. Among the 40-odd updates covered during the presentation, we saw the reveal demo of Code SYN, an upcoming open-world cyberpunk-inspired FPS. The demo itself is stunning and aims to push the limits of real-time graphics. Now, before we go any further, though, guys, here's what I'm going to say. Code SYN, from what we've seen, the presentation itself, I mean, it was basically just kind of showing us some of the characters, and it was a very different type of presentation, the way that Tencent did it. I'm sure we're going to be finding out more information here in the upcoming months, but I don't know, it didn't really seem realistic to me. It seemed more like kind of cartoony, almost like toyish. Like the characters kind of look almost like toys, and similar to even the cars and such, which I like that style. I like how they're kind of taking this other take versus that of cyberpunk and such. They want to do this their own way, and I like how the theme of it is more kind of toyish than that of being, maybe a little bit more realistic looking, as in the form of Cyberpunk 2077. Though it won't reflect the final product, the features we can expect to see are alluring, to say the least. From what we can tell, SYN will be a multiplayer game, but that will remain unclear until we know a little bit more about the project. No gameplay was actually shown in the demo, although the navigation through the character creation menus gives a good insight into what we can expect. Among the features shown was the strand-based hair system they've developed with help from Epic Games, giving it a realistic yet Pixar-like quality. All customization features include your character vehicles, and even a cybernetic animal companion will be updated in real time. Now, what I will say about this, guys, I love how this is their take on the cyberpunk style. And one thing I will say is the customization looks really good. Now, remember, guys, Tencent are the guys who pretty much own Epic Games, which are the guys who, of course, did Fortnite. And so I think what they want to make sure they do is have a lot of customization options, guys. And I really enjoy, I really like what they're doing as far as with an animal companion throughout the course of, whether this is a multiplayer or whatever. I'm wondering if this is going to be just a multiplayer experience, if it's going to be a campaign. I'm hoping it's a campaign because it kind of looks like that. And at that very last shot that they showed us, guys, what it looked like, the hub, or the HUD, the heads-up display, we saw it looked more like a third-person shooter than a first-person shooter, but maybe you can kind of switch between third-person and first-person. It's hard to say, but SYN is expected to release next year on PC and consoles. However, it wasn't specified what consoles it would be coming to. Personally, as a fan of films like Blade Runner, Akira, and other cyberpunk media, I'm really looking forward to seeing what SYN has to offer. So, Tencent, guys, obviously these guys are the juggernauts when it comes to the gaming landscape as a whole. I mean, this is a massive company, guys. They have a lot of resources that they can put into something like this, and I like where they're going. from a perspective of kind of their take on Cyberpunk. I mean, it looks very much so like Cyberpunk. I mean, there's no debate about it. Now, you kind of wonder, was this greenlit not too long ago after Cyberpunk 2077, after that was announced and such, did they start doing their take on it? Or was it more recent when they started seeing kind of the buzz around Cyberpunk 2077? It'll be interesting, to say the least, if this is going to be called Code SYN or if it's going to be called something completely different. We'll have to kind of wait and see. I'll be sure to give you guys more information as it comes out. But from what we know so far, guys, this looks like Tencent's take on Cyberpunk 2077, or just Cyberpunk, that genre that's being created at this point. And I'm wondering if we're going to start seeing more, other games and from other companies that are going to be kind of creating Cyberpunk type style games. And I think, depending on how popular Cyberpunk 2077 is, CD Projekt Red very well may almost be creating an entire new genre, similar to like Battle Royale, that when that came out from Fortnite. And even though H1Z1 technically started it, you've got all these games now that are being built around, Battle Royale. Could that be kind of the similar here to Cyberpunk 2077? A lot of games kind of taking some of the things that worked from Cyberpunk 2077. It'll be interesting, to say the least. I would like to see if Tencent is going to make this a free-to-play game. I think that could be a real game changer, because if they made this free-to-play or something along those lines, guys, I think that they might have something big on their hands. Because in my opinion, I know some people didn't like really the graphics and the way that the take they're putting out there within this world. I like it though. I think, Cyberpunk 2077, the way that style for CD Projekt Red looks great. This is kind of a different style, a different take on it, and that's what I like about it. I don't want all of these Cyberpunk games to be, very similar. I don't want it to be like a cookie cutter, copy and paste sort of ordeal. I want each company that does their take and they have their own, kind of twist on it. That's what makes BR great, because a lot of these BR titles are different in different ways. The concept's the same, but they're different as far as from a structural standpoint. I'm hoping that happens here with Tencent's Code SYN. But let me know, guys, in the comment section below, what do you guys think of Code SYN? From what we've seen so far, what do you guys think about it? Let me know down there in the comment section below. And for more Code SYN content and videos, stay here with Zero TV.